Hello, fellow Star Trek fans. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Clonestar podcast, the series where myself and the wonderful show Hurley interview the incredible people behind our favorite show, Star Trek. And this week, we are joined by a very special guest who's an actor whose credits include V, Smallville, House, The Twilight Zone, Dark Angel, Alien vs. Predator Requiem, CSI, Yellow Jackets, Transplant. But of course, we know her best as Tory Foster on the incredible Battlestar Galactica, as well as Commander Landry in Star Trek Discovery. We are delighted to finally welcome Rekha Sharma to the show. Rekha, thank you so much for joining us this week.
I'm so happy to be here.
Show, how are you doing this week?
I'm absolutely fine, I'll be perfectly honest with you, Mike, but it's not about me, it's about our guest, of course.
Well, I think I threw you slightly with the intro because I've tweaked it compared to the usual, so I think it threw you looking at your expression.
Absolutely, that's just... Rekha, question, where does the story start? Like, did you grow up in a creative household? Like, what was it that kind of got you into the acting bug, or what was it?
It wasn't a super creative household, but a little bit. My mother was a hairdresser, so that's creative. And my father was a realtor. He loved music, but he didn't play it or anything. But and I had have an elder brother who's quite a bit older, so I had a lot of time to myself, and I think that's where the imagination started getting very active. Was I didn't really have anybody to play with, so I think that's where the acting began. Was in my room with a room full of dolls and no one else to play with, so I made up other people.
I think we've all done that at some point, haven't we?
Absolutely.
Like, probably still do, to be honest, even at age 43.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember when some of your kind of first big breaks were happening? Like, when was your kind of first time you kind of like put yourself out there, like up on stage or whatever the case may be?
Yeah, I mean, it was elementary school, and I remember, well, my first love was actually painting and drawing. I really thought I was going to be a fine artist one day, a visual artist. And I remember it was grade 5, and there was an audition for the school play. And I was very curious about it, and I was too shy to audition. I didn't want to, but I just wanted to go and see what all the hubbub was about. And so I went to the classroom where they were holding the auditions, and I remember having a lot of opinions about what everybody else was doing, and I mean, I kept them to myself, I'll say that. But just somehow I knew who was good and who wasn't, and who was good in different ways, and the teachers were watching me, just intently watching all these other kids audition, and they kept asking me over and over again if I wanted to. And finally they were like, okay, everybody else is gone. Are you going to audition or not? I was like, okay, fine.
Wait a second, hang on, let's dial back here for a second. You said you went in there like trying not to be noticed. Was it really a case of you were there going, I'm going to pretend to not be noticed, but I hope they do notice me?
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't. I had no idea what it was about. And I was just curious. I was like, what's this? And then I think I got more and more interested as I watched it and started to see what it was. But yeah, it was a lot of, no, I don't want, no, not me. And then I think, honestly, it was like, because I'm not very good at doing things without knowing what they are. Like wanting to understand what was required of me in some way before I make an ass of myself, potentially. And so, like, okay, I was like, now I got a handle on what this is, so maybe I won't totally mess it up. And I didn't. I ended up getting cast as one of the lead roles in the school play, and
do you remember what the school play was like? Do you remember kind of like, were you nervous, or were you there going, no, I got this, guys, don't you worry about that, I'm going to absolutely nail this?
I was fairly confident, and I think it came with not realizing that everybody was going to be watching me or that it would affect them in some way.
Okay.
It was interesting. I remember in the rehearsals that I was the only one who was good at projecting my voice. I just had that naturally. I remember the teacher, Mr. Douglas. Mr. Douglas, if you're out there, hello. You might not even be alive anymore. But he took this, he was trying to explain how to project your voice, and he took this piece of lint. He said, okay, kids, see this piece of lint? And then he ran to the back of the gymnasium and he said, now I want you to talk to this piece of lint. And that was our exercise. And I was the only one who had this like booming voice just naturally. Which
Did that surprise you that you have such a booming voice?
It did. I was like, oh, I didn't know. I mean, I knew I had a good voice. This is my mom's voice. And ever since I was a kid, like I'd pick up the phone and they would think it was my mom. My voice went deep, like quite young. So, but I didn't know I could do that, you know.
And at that point, were you bitten by the acting bug and you were there going, I can do this, guys. This is a breeze. Don't worry about it.
And then I was also like, you know, the only person who pretty much memorized my lines. Like I was just more into it than a lot of the other kids, you know.
Just imagine you walking in with a copy of the script in hand, like, you know, kind of your own written notes going, hang on a second, director, I've got issues here with the plot.
I have a rewrite.
Look, this Shakespeare fella has it all wrong. This is what we really need to be kind of saying in this situation. And did you keep, obviously, like this is in 4th grade, 5th grade, whatever it was, did you just kind of keep it going when you went into college and things like that? Or how did it kind of move from there?
Yeah, I still had this notion that I wanted to be a painter more. But then, you know, I went into high school and kept doing the plays. And then I actually got a bit discouraged when I got older, because in elementary school, it didn't matter that none of us looked the right part. And unfortunately, I heard that some other high school acting teachers were also doing colorblind casting, but not mine. He wanted it to make sense visually. And so he would say, Rekha, you're very good, but, you know, I'm sorry I can't put you in this year's school play because it has to be a family. And I would just go, oh, okay. He said, would you be my assistant director instead? Or would you handle this instead? And I was just, you know, grateful to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. So I said yes to whatever he asked of me. But it did, in some ways, you know, it really prepared me for the world of casting.
Mm. Yeah.
But it was also really a bummer, you know, that I got discouraged so young.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, well, I probably can't do this, so I'll stick with the painting and stuff. And I went to art school right after high school. And I went to this very cool art school in Vancouver called the Emily Carr Institute. And it's a very conceptual school. Like most of the student body were in their 30s, and I was straight out of high school, and I didn't even know how to think, you know? Do you remember being 17, 18 and not really knowing how to think?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, maybe I was particularly worse, but I was really up in that school. It's funny because I was good at the interview part. I kind of knew what to say to get in, but then once I was in, I was like, oh God.
What have I done? This is such a mistake.
The imposter syndrome kicks in then.
Yeah, exactly.
And
like,
Rekha, just to step back for a second, when it was the case that you weren't getting the parts and all that kind of thing, did you kind of bottle that up, or did you kind of like say to your family or friends going like, this is complete bollocks that this is happening to me?
I completely bottled it up. I didn't know how to talk to people about what was going on with me. I didn't think that it was useful. or an option, really. Like, it didn't occur to me. Like, I mean, everybody talked about like what boys you liked or girls or whatever, you know. It was like that was a normal conversation, but no, it never occurred to me to
But you
talk
could be
about.
open and honest about it, kind of thing. Like,
Yeah,
so, and like, do you think that affected you? That like, because obviously, not talking about it is one thing, bottling up is another, because it stays there. It's not going anywhere because you're not getting it out. You're not processing it. Do you think it affected you in any way?
absolutely. It affected my confidence. It affected my belief in whether or not I could even pursue it. You know, I clearly loved it, but then I kind of closed the door to it because I thought it wasn't a practical option for me. And I'm however many years later, let me tell you, it still isn't practical. It really isn't, you know? Anyway, but you know, there were some things, and I remember there was a film that came out that starred an Indian actress, and I, as soon as I saw it, was Denzel Washington and Sarita Chaudhary, this incredible Indian director, Mira Nair, called Mississippi Masala, and I was quite young, but I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is in the movie theaters and starts a young Indian woman. And so I told my family, this is what I managed to share with them. I said, she's doing it. She's doing it. Maybe I can do it. We all have to go see this movie. And it was the first seed of maybe I can do it. Honestly, if she hadn't made that movie, I don't know if I'd be an actor today.
And like, you did all go to see the movie in the cinema, though, right? That did happen.
My family went with me. They said, yes, okay, we'll go with you. This is important to you. And we all went together and saw it in the cinema. And
Like, what did it feel like inside seeing that person up on the big screen and you sitting there in the cinema going like fuck this, they're not going to deny me my dream.
right. I mean, it was hope. It was so moving. And it was such a great movie. I think she was, in her previous film, she was, I think she might have won an Academy Award for it. This one, she was, I think, nominated or something. I can't remember, but it was very well received as well. So that was encouraging. And what I did was then I watched Sarita Chaudhary's career over the years. And I saw that she kind of wasn't in anything for a while. And then she'd appear again. I'd be like, okay, she's still there. She's still there. Maybe I'll be okay. You know?
She's still making stuff.
Yeah.
And like, in terms of, say, at this point now you've kind of gone to art college, blagged your way in, and then realized, wait a second, is this fucking thing for me even at all at this point? Like, am I just going down the wrong roads all the time in this situation? How did the art college work out?
So I only did the first year. And everyone said it's the most difficult year, and I know it is. And if I had stuck with it, it would have been easier the following years. But I think what I learned there is that it was a little too intellectual for me or something. It wasn't a good fit. And
do you think you were just too young with not enough life experience for it in that situation? Yeah.
Definitely.
It's like kind of studying. It's like when you try to study poetry, and if you're too young, and they're trying to say like, "What's
What
the
are you
poet
gonna
saying here?"
talk
You're like,
about?
"What the fuck? I don't fucking have a clue." Like, Serena.
Unless you've had like the most terrible childhood. Of course, you wouldn't wish upon anyone, but that's how you get wise beyond your years, able to write poetry, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yes.
Like it's all about misery, really, isn't it? Like, you're going,
You've seen some
can't relate to this at all. Like, what's going on? Like.
then you can write some poetry.
So when you got out of art college, what was plan C at this point? Plan A was acting, plan B was art, plan C was going back to acting and saying, fuck you guys, I'm back.
Well, here's what happened is in that 1 year of art college where I was completely out of my depth,
Yes.
I began to get the sense that I maybe wasn't in the best place, like mentally and emotionally, and that I needed that a life in the arts was going to be hard. I now kind of had a sense of that. And I knew that that was always what I wanted to do. So I thought, I've got to get my head screwed on straight first. If I'm going to have this life in the arts, because I was hanging around with a lot of artists and musicians, and I was seeing a lot of drugs and a lot of like wild lifestyles. And I thought, oh, I could get into trouble quickly. I could. You know, it can be dark out here in this field. So I started looking into like the healing arts. A friend of my mom's was like a Reiki master, so she did energy healing, and she started teaching me it. And
oh my God, hang on a second. She was into Reiki. So are you saying Reiki with Reiki? Oh my God, like the alliteration. It's the business card right there. Like, oh my God, like you can make millions on this, guys.
Reiki is Reiki. Yeah, I heard a lot of that for a while. And then, but then I went something a little more practical. I studied holistic counseling.
Okay.
Which was a 3-year course. And it was like group therapy every day for 3 years. And
what age were you at this point now, Rekha?
I think I was 19 or 20 going into the course.
Okay.
And so I did this 3-year course, and that's how I learned to think. That's where I found out who I was. And that's where I started acting again. My teachers were the school was very open-minded, and, you know, we had to do a lot of practical stuff, but for certain exams, they would let us do whatever we wanted. And so I said, could I do a performance for some of these final projects? They said, sure. So I found an old acting friend because I had gone to the college to do a couple of acting courses in my neighborhood, and made a friend there. And so I said, would you come into my counseling classroom and do this, you know?
They probably thought it was an intervention or something like that. They're being tricked into coming into this group. We brought you here today now. We have a few things to discuss with you.
It was great. Kolya was his name. And I created this it was about the stages of relationships or something, and we acted out this whole thing talking about the different stages of relationships, and you know, it was great. It was a great safe way for me to come back to acting, you know, and then when I graduated from the course, very soon after I started auditioning for plays, and I got the first big play that I auditioned for, and then I got an agent a few months later. And
what was the first big play?
It was a Canadian play written by a Canadian playwright, and it was, oh God, what was it called? Counter Offense. And it was about, my character was Shazia, this young woman who was in an abusive relationship. And so it was sort of about, you know, unfortunately, a lot of the wife-beating sort of situations that happen in South Asian communities. And so it was an all South Asian cast, mostly. Yeah, not all. We had to work with what we had at the time.
I'm always curious at this point, whenever we do our interviews, I'm always kind of reminded of my dad, because if I didn't have a specific direction in life by age 21, I was in the wrong place. So I'm curious, were your parents supportive of the move from acting to art into therapy back to acting? Or are they saying, for the love of God, pick one and just stick with it?
My parents were amazing. They they were the black sheep of their family. They broke a lot of rules and forged out on their own, and so they were always very supportive of me to do that. And they were both self-employed as well. And so, yeah, I remember having a talk with them. They were very glad that I went to the counseling school and had something practical in my back pocket.
I suppose it gives you something to fall back on then, doesn't it? And that's what, parents like that. You need a skill or a trade to fall back on.
Exactly. And of course, I mean, now it's so difficult. It's like, oh, well, I do have that, but I'd probably need like a master's now, which would take me like 10 years or something if I was going to do that anyway. But,
So
it's something. It was good life skills.
when you did that play, then were you kind of there going, no, back in the groove now, this is it, like we're going to give this a go. If it like absolutely kills me, I'm going to make a proper run of this as well. And you've got an agent now at this point. So like what was the kind of intent now at this point? Were you kind of saying, I'm happy with the theatre work, or were you going, no, I'd like to get onto TV, I'd like to get onto the big screen or whatever?
I really didn't think that I was going to like the screen work because I loved the theater so much. But I was open to trying it. And frankly, to this day, I prefer being on stage, which is sucks because I never am. But
Mike, that's the secret project. That was the secret project. It's something to do with theatre.
was.
That's it. That's what it is. Choose whatever's on Tuesday. It's something to do with theatre. 100%. That's exactly what it is. Rekha, what exactly is it about the theatre experience that you enjoy more than the screen experience?
I think that it's live. I think that, there's an audience there, that it's all happening. It does feel more like, many people say it's more of an actor's medium because you don't have as many other factors to consider. It's really you're making the choices. Sure, there's like been choreography and all of this stuff, but you're freer as an artist to kind of put it out there. Once rehearsals are over, I mean, you could do whatever you want on stage. I'm very behaved, so I don't do crazy.
What's the biggest capacity you've ever been on stage in front of?
Oh, nothing that big. Always smaller theaters, but at least 100 seats. Yeah. And there's a flow to it, that it's happening right then and there, and you don't know what's going to happen. And of course, that's what you want as well when you're working on set, that you don't know what's going to happen, but it's just like such a shorter little chunk of time.
Yeah.
You get to build this momentum, and you don't have to use your body in the same way. You don't have to project.
Yeah.
And you don't have to move. It feels like more physically satisfying. Quite often, especially in television, you can really be just sitting there and like moving from one spot to another. When I was shooting Battlestar, it drove me so bonkers that I would ask the ADs if they had anything that they needed to take to the office, simply so that I could take their little manila envelope and run across the parking lot all the way to the office and then run back just to be physical.
And Rekha, what would you say is your approach to acting? Like when you're doing plays and things like that, like, and you have a script in front of you, like, what do you do? How do you try to, like, do you just say, I'm going to inhabit the character, or do you say, I'm going to bring a bit of me into the character as well?
I think it's changed over the years. I think as a young person, I was probably just inhabiting. And then as I got some training, I was being trained in sort of a more method way where I used my own life to infuse the character with. And then now, more recently, I've gone back to just trying to really inhabit the character, find it more fun.
And as you started out in the journey then of kind of going at the plays and all that kind of thing. Were you worried about the typecasting coming back to haunt you again? Or did that just, or because as you kind of said earlier, in terms of being the nature of the industry, is that just something that is kind of was there, is there, and will always be there kind of thing?
I think so. I think it's a bit the nature of the beast. You know, you look a certain way, you have a certain energy, and hopefully that is the bit of the type that you get cast in, which is better than like just based on your look and societal ideas about, you know, like basically, you know, playing a doctor was like the first thing I did on most television shows. And I was very conscious that I didn't want to be seen as specifically Indian typecast. So I kind of avoided, you know, I did a little bit of doctor stuff at the beginning, and then I said, look, I don't want to be in that. I'm only getting cast as that because I'm Indian and because, you know, I can say things and sound like I know what the hell I'm talking about. Not everybody can. So that is, you know, sounding smart is its own skill.
So is that at the top of your CV then? Really good at techno babble.
Yeah, it definitely was. I got known as being able to. I really had no idea what I was saying sometimes, but
I'm curious, Rekha, do you remember when was the first time a fan recognized you on the street and went, "Oh my God"?
I don't know if I remember the first time exactly, but it was Battlestar. I remember some exciting moments. I remember they flew us out to New York for a Comic-Con, and we were still filming, and it was right after the episode where Tory puts Callie out the airlock. So I got recognized on the street in New York. And it was my first time going to New York. Like, it was like, you know, where all the dreams come true. It was like the big place for an actor. And I remember these two guys, and I ended up hanging out with them like for a while, like the next day or something. I can't remember. But they were just very cool. They were just standing next to me as we were waiting for the light to change and cross the street. And they were like, "You were awesome in last night's episode. That was so cool." And I was like, "What?" Thank you. We kept crossing.
As I say in the situation, I really just I'm totally unprepared.
What?
Does it get
Very
easier
exciting.
when people kind of recognize you? Like after that first experience, are you kind of more kind of actually, no, I know how to handle this situation now?
I think so. I've gotten used to it anyway. It was very exciting at the time, and it was overwhelming. And I remember I started wearing hats and sunglasses, and just it felt too much. It felt like too much attention. I couldn't quite deal with it. I became very self-conscious.
Oh my word! And in terms of say your theatre work, what are some of your favorite performances that you were in?
I did Oleana, Mamet's Oleana, which was a two-hander. I can't say I liked my character or anything, but it was a wonderful, it was a wonderful experience. Yeah, I wish I had done more. There was so much I wanted to do. I wanted to do Shakespeare. Anyway.
You still can. Like it's not like you like there's
Yeah, I'm
nothing
not
stopping
dead
you.
yet.
You're not retired yet.
This is
Yeah,
kind of like it's almost like an obituary on your career or something like that. I'll never do Shakespeare, never. Oh my God, what have I done? My whole life and career totally wasted.
Yeah.
In terms of then say, what was your kind of first few kind of like obviously as you said in terms of being a doctor on TV and things like that, but what was kind of some of your say proper big roles then outside of just being kind of necessary typecast as a doctor kind of thing?
Well, you know, I found the big roles where I could really, my whole life, I was just very clear that I wanted to play a person.
Yeah.
I didn't want to play anything specific to being Indian. I just wanted to be seen and to be part of, the movement of that for brown people. To be like, you know what, I'm just going to try to play a person. And I got that in sci-fi. And I'm very grateful to the genre and for the people who cast sci-fi shows for that. Because, as I like to say, in the future, we're not racist, right? In the future, the ever ahead of us future, women commanders, and it doesn't matter whether they're South Asian or Black or whatever, we all get to be all of the things.
And in the way when you were younger, you were inspired, looking at the big screen that time with your family and things like that. Do you feel you have inspired others?
I know that I have. And that was kind of the goal. To be, because of what Sarita Chaudhary did for me and for all the brown girls of our generation, I wanted to be another little, person on that thread who's like, yes, you can. And I say, I know I have, because I've literally, that first trip to New York, I remember it was myself and Michael Trucco and Michael Hogan up on the stage. And at the end of our chat, a young Indian woman ran up to the stage and said, and she was like crying, I said, please talk to you. And so I stayed on the stage a little longer and kneeled down and chat with her. And she is one of, since then, several actresses or young Indian women who want to be actresses coming up to me and saying, do you think I can do it? I see you doing it. Do you think I could? And so, yeah, it's that part of the plan has worked.
How does it feel when somebody says that to you and you're there? I'm inspiring someone. What? No way. Like, that wasn't part of this deal at all.
Yeah, I guess, well, in that way, it was part of the deal because, it's the thing that has kept me going. It's the thing that I've told myself every time that it's been so hard and I've been so discouraged and frustrated and auditions after auditions and wanting to give up and almost giving up. I've said to myself, no, I got to see Sarita Chaudhary, and the more representation that I can contribute to, that I will be part of the solution. So I can't give up.
And do you think it's moving in the right direction, that solution at the moment?
I feel like we've made some good progress. It currently feels like a bit like the pendulum is swinging back in the other direction. I think we're all feeling that across the world with Trump and, all these people who are afraid of immigrants and, I get it. It's like if you've had a certain amount of representation and doors open to you as a population for a very long time, and you start to see that somebody else is getting a shot, and maybe there's a few less doors for you now. Let's be clear, the statistics still show that, in my particular field and in many, many fields, white people are still very much at the forefront and getting most of the parts and most of the jobs and all of that. Yeah. But yeah, we've got a few more now. And
do you feel that the say
Makes
with
people
the
nervous.
way media has changed and things like that, like we don't really have TV shows that are like 26 episodes anymore. Like it's 8, 10 episodes and things like that. Do you think that is helping how like representation is kind of like being displayed on the screen in terms of like because of the fact that there's less 26 episodes, there's more shows out there, there's more chance for people to kind of, like who are not white men being on
Well,
screen and things like that, and not necessarily white men who are like, in their 20s or 30s. Like we're seeing people of older ages kind of leading shows and things like that. Do you feel that that is making a difference as well?
I think it is. I honestly, I don't know. I don't know. What I know is that we've made some strides, and it does feel a bit like, I feel like most people of color and women who kind of saw this balloon happening where we had more opportunity, we all knew that it wasn't going to last for that long because we knew there would be a backlash.
Mhm.
So I think a lot of people are now seeing that backlash and we're like, okay, well, we had a window, and now there's so much that's happening in the industry here, at least, that a lot of people are on all sides, behind the camera, producers, who are having to look at other ways of making a living because it's really been messed up since the strikes. So
Yep.
I don't know, because I don't know how much the strikes and the changing of the model and, the streaming platforms and everything. It's like, I mean, Holly Hunter's on Star Trek now,
Yep.
Yeah.
and that's great, but there's no way. Like, I think I auditioned for the same part. I think I might have.
Oh, they wouldn't tell you what you're auditioning for. You were just kind of brought in to read, kind of thing.
You just read for something, and it's all fake sides and stuff, and I haven't
Yep.
confirmed it. I haven't watched the show yet to see, if she's saying the same lines I did in my audition. But it's like, oh my God, you know. There was a time when movie stars were really just movie stars, and I'm
Hmm.
very glad that television has grown up so much and become so fantastic. But on the other hand, it's like, well, there's these different levels of stardom. And when, Carrie Coon, do you know Carrie Coon?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Have you guys seen that bit that she talked about recently about the state of theater?
No.
No.
She, so she said something that she put it very well. And we're seeing the same thing that she talked about that's happening in the theater all across the entertainment industry, which is here in North America, we're not in a situation like, I think Russia is better funding for the arts. I think I've been to the theaters in Prague. Like they actually give you a good rehearsal time. They care about the arts. They value it in society. It's not valued here, and I don't know what it's like as much in the UK. I haven't worked there, but I think it's also better there. But because there's no societal value and therefore no government funding, it's like, I think everything needs to be like run by a star, because if you don't have the
Yep.
star, then you don't get the money. And so there's all these actors, both in theater and in film and television, who are excellent and so good for the job. And they will not get the part because they need a star now to fund the project. And it's heartbreaking. It's really discouraging. And I hope there'll be enough parts that that it'll all work out and everybody will still be working, but it doesn't seem to be going that way over the last few years.
And Rick, I don't know if you're doing it or have you considered it, but have you considered or doing teaching? I'm just curious in terms of, say, with your life experience, everything you've gone through and things like that, how invaluable that would be to new actors coming up and all that kind of thing. Are you teaching, or would you consider it if you haven't done it?
I would consider it. I've done it a teensy little bit just here and there, one-on-one with younger actors. I do enjoy it, but I don't know. There's so many teachers who have already been teaching for years. What am I going to do?
Do a bit of recce with them. You can do group therapy as well. Like you have that to fall back on. Actually, so like that is available for you as well.
That is it. Yeah, my niche is sort of therapy and acting together.
So you mentioned earlier on as well about the fact that, like, quite, because of the science fiction element, it can be sometimes easier to kind of pick up some roles because you've got, like, we've got V, we've got Smallville, obviously, Twilight Zone, Dark Angel. God, I love Dark Angel. Yellow Jackets has a slightly supernatural element to it as well. All these kind of things. Did you kind of, like, as you were kind of getting the different roles and all that, did you mind what you were getting on TV, or was it just more of a case of you were just happy to kind of build up the credits and things like that?
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
As I said, in terms of, say, when you were, say, going for all the different roles, when you started getting into the television work, were you aiming for something in particular, or was it just more of a case of, like, you just wanted to kind of stretch your acting ability and see what you could possibly do?
Yeah, I would say more the latter, just trying to, see where I can get in. I mean, you try to audition for everything you can.
Yeah.
With the caveat that I didn't want to be typecast as a South Asian person. So those were the only auditions that I said no to when they were very specifically Indian.
Right.
Especially if it was in a way that I felt was offensive. Or maybe not even offensive, but very stereotypical.
Like, are we talking really, really blatant stereotypical kind of things, is it?
Yeah, and I was definitely more sensitive to it than other people because I just didn't want to be stuck in that pile. Yeah. Doing the accent and all the things. It's like, I know some actors, I think, who just will get stuck there and then people won't see them as more than that. And I didn't want to get stuck there.
It's kind of interesting, isn't it, that there's an audience out there, kind of, as you said, like, when they hear, an Indian person, something, they'll have an immediate kind of impression of this is what that type of person is going to be on the show, whatever. It's the same then if something is set in Ireland, there's a disgraceful amount of, as we call it over here, paddy whackery, in terms of making us all out to be, idiots and morons of the highest caliber. Like, whatever Lindsay Lohan's movie that was set in Ireland recently, you're just there going, oh, Jesus, please, like, no, like, this is not what Ireland is like for the absolute love of God. Like, and it's kind of, like, when it's taken in context of, like, not in America, it's kind of people in the other countries are going, like, lads, this is not what it's like. This is not remotely accurate at all. But it's almost like it has to be the familiar, because if it's not the same, it's kind of, like, scary.
Yeah. I know I feel like there's progress being made in that arena with the roles that we are seeing. And over time, it's going to get less, hopefully for all of us, less of those big, sweeping, boring ideas and more about the individual. Listen, good stories just have to be more interesting than that, and those are the ones that get recognized, that people love, where it's not just about those stereotypes. It's boring. Nobody cares.
It kind of seems to be almost like a cultural shift, isn't it? In terms of, like, it's almost like, hey, here's something so let's just, like, repurpose that. We can't make something new because you won't recognize it. And as you said, if it's a new show or whatever, it has to have a star in it, because if it's just a group of unknowns, people there going, I don't know who these people are. I am not going to watch this. Like, I need to see a recognizable person on my screen, or this could be a total big waste of my time, even though it could potentially just be like 8 hours or something like that in that situation.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of almost sad now that.
Then there's people like, I mean, what do you think of Sharon Horgan? Because I am obsessed with Sharon Horgan.
You've seen Bad Sisters, I'm guessing, yes?
I certainly have. I've seen pretty much everything she's done.
What was the one? Oh, with Rob Delaney in it.
Yeah.
That one as well. Yeah, like she's fantastic. Actually, strangely enough, her brother is a rugby player, and he's on TV right now because Ireland are playing in rugby, and he was a rugby player, and we're probably losing against France. But
Catastrophe?
Yeah, it will be if Ireland lose against France. That will be a catastrophe. Yeah.
But Sharon, but see, that's the funny thing is, like, we mentioned Bad Sisters, and it's set in Ireland, and it's an Irish show, but it doesn't play into the stereotype of Irish people. Like, it's very different. But as an Irish person, you completely connect with it because you're there going, that is exactly who we are, kind of thing. But for a different audience, they're going, what the hell is this? This isn't like Irish people. Like, where's the Faith and Bagara? Where's the leprechauns? Where's the green? Where's the people who don't understand technology and things like that? And you're going, that's not what we do here. Like,
where's the potatoes? Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So like it's kind of fairly kind of prevalent still that that exists for basically, it's the same, Mike. Like if somebody was making a show about the Brits, like it'd be like it would have to be upper class toffs or complete scumbags. There's no in between.
It's either Downton Abbey or it's something else. They are the two extremes.
Are you guys watching The Night Manager by any chance?
No, and a friend of mine recommended it to me today, and I really mean to watch because Hugh Laurie is always brilliant, and Tom Hiddleston is excellent in kind of everything. Is the second season good, Rick? Actually,
yeah.
Okay, so if it's shit, if it's bad, I can come back and give out to you about that in that situation. Then
we can hash it out, my friend. We can hash it out.
We're actually rewatching Peaky Blinders at the moment because
that was the other thing I was thinking of.
I've never seen it, and the new movie is out in March. And Cillian Murphy, of course, is Irish, and all. Like strangely, people keep calling him Cillian, and you're no, Cillian. Like what's going on in this situation?
Being Irish.
No. Hang on, Rick. Right, everybody who tries it has to do it fully. Right, you've just tried an Irish accent there. You've got to give me your best Irish accent that you can try and put on.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah. Like we've had people apologise to the state and nation of Ireland for their terrible accents. So you have it's a low bar you have to beat here, Rick. Yeah, like it's a very low bar we've got here.
Most things would be better than what's his face in.
Listen, I could. Who killed it?
Spencer Garrett is his name. Spencer's in everything. You mightn't recognize the name, but if you saw him, you go, "I know that guy."
Yeah.
But yeah, his he owes the government a written apology for what he did in the show. Like. 100%. It's like there's 2 episodes of Star Trek Voyager set in an Irish village, and I'm trying to get the writers of the episodes onto the show to get them to just there's no interview. I just want them to apologize on camera so I can send it on to the president of the country.
I mean, Sven Rygock apologized for his Irish accent in Section 31.
Jesus Christ. No, hang on a second, Mike. Reka,
and that's a very low bar.
And she thinks she won't have to do an Irish accent, but she totally is. Reka, floor is yours now. Good Irish accent, please. I'm going to close my eyes.
Good Irish accent. Well, I don't know what to say particularly or how I'm going to get there, but I'm trying, and this is what's coming out of my mouth now. And
cancelled interview, Mike. It's over. It's done. That's it.
Listen,
never again.
I need more time. I need to prepare. I need to exercises, diphthongs and what have you.
If you want to see a really, really fantastic Irish accent that you wouldn't expect, Charlie Cox, who played Daredevil, was in an Irish show called Kin, K-I-N, and he was completely unrecognizable. The accent is absolutely perfect. It is totally natural Irish. Like, I was utterly shocked when I found out that wasn't. It's like Jamie Bamber. When you hear him talk his normal accent, and it's this British accent, and you see him on Battlestar, and you're going, that's not the same guy. There's no way that voice is the same.
We could say the same thing about Hugh Laurie.
Listen, if I had a month like Bamber did, I'm sure I could just do a brilliant Irish accent.
Just remember, there's no th, it's ter. So it's tanks, it's tree, it's, you have to, if you get your T's like that and potato, and then you start taking in an Irish accent, just a wee little, that's Scottish actually.
And one more thing, right?
See,
Rekha,
ting.
Rekha, I'll give you a bit of insight, right? If you're ever playing an Irish person on the phone, right? If you're on the phone as an Irish person, right, and you're hanging up the phone,
yeah.
do not say bye, okay?
Okay.
You say bye, 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 bye.
That's what people do.
We say
yes.
every single time, like when you're on a call with somebody and you're hanging up the phone, you go, oh yeah, okay, bye, 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 bye.
I love that.
I can 100% vouch for that.
It has to be said fast. Like, I mean, feckin' fast. So, like, as an Irish person, we speak like 100 million miles an hour. So, I was doing I did a training session this morning in work, and one of the bits of feedback I got was absolutely excellent. Spoke too fast. I was like, yeah, that's pretty standard for Irish people in that situation. We just combine 27 words into one. Like, you'd say to someone, instead of "Do you know what I mean?" we would say, "Do you know what I mean?" There you go. That's like we know exactly what kind of situation is there in that situation. But anyway, yes, your accent, Irish accent, Rekha. It is the 5th of February, so on March 5th.
We're gonna circle back.
4 weeks to the day. We'll be back. We'll be back 100%. Mike, this episode will not have been released by that point. So what we can do is we can just pause it right here and superimpose Rekha here and just kind of give us an Irish accent. Beautiful. This is what we want to see now in this situation.
Okay, I'll do it.
Actually, okay, what's the best accent you can do?
Oh, I don't know.
Not Indian, of course, right? No, we're not going to go down that road. But can you do a good British accent?
I can, but again, I'm not practiced.
Oh yes, here we go, Mike. Mike, you could be insulted here in this situation. This is glorious.
Yeah, let's see who I can insult now. But what should I say? I haven't got anything to say.
You can ask him. Does he want a cup of tea? There you go. Perfect.
Would you like a cup of tea?
That's really good, actually.
Really good.
I'll give you that.
I've had a bit more call to be a British person than nobody's ever asked me to be Irish, so...
There you go. There, like, you've got me as the dialect coach British now in this situation, Rekha. There it is. You can go, I'm just going to ring my friend Show here and he's going to 100% tell me. And then, like, then
we're going to get me an Irish part.
Yes, exactly. Yes. There it is. Like, and when you're speaking to your agent, you'll go, bye, 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 bye. That's how you do that situation.
I actually did, before I got an agent and all, I auditioned for... some famous Irish play of an Ishman, something.
Yeah, I know it. I can't take the name off the top of my head, but I know what it is.
Yeah. And I felt like such a schmuck going to the Arts Club Theatre, but my accent was pretty great.
I'll take your word for it in this situation.
Laughter because there was no way that they were going to cast this face in an Irish play, but you know what? I gave it my best.
Look, let's be fair. If they can cast Tom Cruise as an Irish person with the worst accent that's ever been heard by human society, like, look, anything's possible, Rekha, in this situation. Like, don't worry about it. Like, Rekha, how did then? Obviously, we have to obviously check in the big ones. How did Galactica come up?
I had a few auditions for the show, and right away from the first one, I had a great feeling. Back then we actually went into the room. Now everything's on tape. But yeah, I really liked the material, and I liked the feeling that I got from the director and producer, whoever was there at the time, and I was like, oh. This is an interesting project, And so when the third audition came around, it was for Tory. And I thought, oh, okay, the other two have gone well, and I liked them. This is a big one. I knew it was a bigger part. And I thought, I'm a good fit for this. And so I gave it my all, as I always do. And apparently they agreed. They thought I was the right fit for it as well.
Why did you think you were the right fit for it?
There's a thing that happens, I'm sure we've all experienced.
Oh, you can spoil it. Yeah, you can spoil away. Yeah, no problem at all.
No, I didn't mean that. But just, when you get something,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I can do this. Whatever it is, even if you look at a job application or something and, you're like, oh, I have all these skills. I can do this thing. And artistically, it was just like, oh, I very quickly had an in of something that interested me, that I wanted to play with her. And, you just feel this little excitement. And you go, yeah, this is a good fit.
And had you been watching the show up until then?
I had no idea what it was. All I knew about Battlestar Galactica was that it was a remake of a cheesy show from the 70s. And that our friend Grace Park was in it. And so Grace, who I didn't know very well, but she was in the same community of Vancouver actors. Everybody was just happy that Grace had a full-time job. Yay, us has got a job. And so that's really all I knew about it.
And as time went by, like I'm always curious about this. Like when you got the part and you were filming the episodes and all that, would you have only seen the completed episode when it would have premiered on TV in that situation then?
So no, we did have. Yeah, I guess so. Actually, yeah, we didn't see it until it came out. I would see a little bit if I had to go into the ADR. To the sound booth or something, but we wouldn't see it until it aired, which is still the case if I'm in anything. But one thing that was great was, I'd come and done a couple of episodes, and I was really trying to figure out what the frack was going on in this show, and I could not piece it together. And so I remember in between takes, we were in a scene with Eddie and Mary, and I said, so can you explain this Cylon thing? I don't understand. I've just been given these last few scripts that we've been, and they said, excuse me, what? You've never seen the show? And I said, no.
Nope.
And Eddie said, you go to the office at the end of the day, you tell them that I have sent you and that you need the miniseries. And then you go home this weekend and you watch the miniseries. It was so great because both of them, in me asking, like, can you just give me the shorthand on what the situation is?
It's like trying to get notes before the exam, isn't it? It's like 2 minutes forehand. If you got this question, what would you say? Yeah, I've got my own thoughts on this situation.
Yeah, I'm like, what is the, can you just give me the, and they both just said, no. No, we can't. And then once I watched it, I said, oh, yeah, no, they would have had to sit me down for an hour to explain it all. That's why I wasn't quickly picking it up, because you're used to, as a guest actor, coming onto a show that's been established for a year or two and then playing catch up. And usually it's not that hard. Usually it's like, another actor could say, or the director or whatever, be like, okay, so this is the world we're in. It's this, it's that, it's that. And you go, great, got it. Let's shoot. Not the case with Battlestar Galactica. It was just so wonderfully complex.
It's like I was just getting a mental image of like the Charlie Day meme where it's kind of him in front of the whiteboard with all the kind of thumbtacks in it and all the bits of string connecting each other, and they're trying to explain everything to you, going, this happens and this and that, and
Yeah.
this person might be evil, but maybe they're
But
not.
don't
And
forget that bit that also happens.
Yeah.
and like, how much of your character's story were you kind of told when you got the role, and was there belief that it would go on as long as it did, or was it like, no?
No, I think they were just making it up as they went. I think they, as you do, that's the writer's jobs. They knew some things, of course, but no, for a character like mine, they had no plans to make her a Cylon.
So when did you find out she was going to be a Cylon? Like 2 minutes before you were actually revealed to be the Cylon. Really?
Basically, 2 minutes before I shot the scene, because it was in the script. I read it at home, but there's so many twists and turns, and I don't know what's like, a red herring or something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
nobody would confirm it until we were actually walking to the stage. I think some other actors found out sooner. They would needle the the powers that be to get their answers, and I was very polite.
If you had known earlier that the
Yeah.
character was going to be Cylon, or if they even knew, do you think you would have changed your approach for, say, certain episodes, certain scenes, and things like that?
Might have. Yeah. I had some kind of feeling that was a possibility. And I think that was right from the beginning, just in the way that I saw the character. Without even knowing what the show was about, I had this feeling that she could be something other than what was on the surface. I had this feeling that she maybe was a force to be reckoned with underneath. And so I think I had that in that first go of how I played her underneath. And then when I started to become more a part of the family and was around, then I came to understand that everybody on set was wondering if they would be a Cylon.
This is
We
like,
were all wondering,
this is
could
like
it be me? Could it be her? And I remember at the beginning, I thought, well, who am I? I'm just this guest who just came on. And this definitely me. So I didn't think about it at all. I thought about it for other characters, but then as I continued to, they kept bringing me back and back and back. Then I started to think, well, they haven't sent me home yet. Maybe I could. Maybe I could.
This is like, did you watch The Traitors, Rekha, by any chance?
Hardly.
But you have an idea
game
what the
show?
concept, the game show. You
Yeah,
understand the
yeah.
concept of it though. Like, this is what it kind of sounds like. There's 15 of you sitting
Right.
around the Battlestar Galactica going, fucking that person there is a Cylon. I'm 100% going to work it out and things like that. But it kind of reminds me like of, we've all seen American Psycho, yes, with Christian Bale and all that kind of thing. Like, there's a brilliant scene in a nightclub where Willem Dafoe's character is interviewing him, but they filmed it three ways. One was Willem Dafoe believed Christian Bale. Another one, he totally didn't believe Christian Bale. And the third one was he had suspicions. And they edited it in such a way that they'd take bits from all of it, so you never knew what the hell Willem Dafoe's character was doing. And I was curious if that was what you might have done in that situation then, if you'd had a chance to go back and like redo some of the scenes, would you kind of said, I'm going to make it slightly more menacing just to try and put it in people's heads that maybe I'm not what I appear to be?
I probably would have feathered in a bit of this and that if they would have allowed it. Who knows? It might have ended up on the cutting room floor.
Who were some of the people you kind of connected with most on the set of Battlestar Galactica?
I mean, in the beginning, it was definitely Mary, which was a wonderful, wonderful thing. To play her assistant and get so much time with her. I felt very lucky, still feel very lucky to this day for that. And we're all still so close.
I was about to ask that. Yeah, do you meet up much? Do you kind of get a chance to see each other?
Yeah, I mean, thankfully we do get the conventions, which helps keep us together. But we do do hang out outside of that. I just was with Michael Trucco on the weekend. We did a reading together, and he picked me up, and we went out there together and did a staged reading. And I talked to Candace McClure quite a bit. Kate Vernon, she and I became very close as we became the final fiveys together. Yeah, she's an absolute sister. And
How is Michael Hogan these days?
he's improved somewhat, but he's still in the care facility. And yeah, try to go and visit him when I go back to Vancouver next.
Of course, no, that's absolutely brilliant. I'm delighted to hear the kind of like the atmosphere on set was good, because it always just came across as a show that, like, on the show everyone kind of like hated each other in their own kind of way, but at the same time loved each other in their own kind of way then as well.
Yes, we love each other so much. Whenever there's an opportunity for all of us to come together, we're so happy to be reunited. We just all adore each other.
And even though, like, look, it's all over and done with and all that kind of thing, was there ever any kind of form of talk about doing something again with the characters at some point? Because obviously we had the miniseries, we had the show, then we had the plan, I think it was, then we had something else, or Razor, that was another one. So there was stuff that came kind of after that. Was there ever any talk of bringing you all back together?
No, not really. I mean, a little bit, I think some talk of it maybe 5 years ago or something. But there was the Sam Raimi reboot. I think it's him who is going to do a reboot.
Sam Raimi, really?
I thought so. But that's like, we've heard about this reboot over the years, and it kind of, gets a Deadline article, and then we don't hear anything for another few years, and then another Deadline article, and then nothing. And I know they don't want to involve any of us. They want to start fresh and do it all over again.
Totally new kind of thing, is this? Oh God.
Yeah. Which I feel like I think most of the cast, or at least half the cast, are like good with that. They don't want to mess with what we did and leave it as is, which I totally understand. I just selfishly want to hang out with everybody again and have another opportunity to tell more stories in that world. And I think that's partly because I was also only there for half of it, there as long as everyone else. So I didn't feel quite as satisfied about being done.
When was the last time you watched the show?
I haven't watched it fully since it came out. I watched a little bit when Trisha and Mark Bernardin were doing the Battlestar Galactica cast. Do you remember? And then we had a rewatch that was on the Sci-Fi network during the pandemic.
Yes.
So I watched a little bit, but that was like some crazy 48 hours straight marathon.
You didn't stay up for the 48 hours?
No. I don't even think I had access to it from Canada. I can't remember what the deal was, but so I watched a few episodes just around that time to be part of the conversation for the Battlestar Galactica cast.
Yeah.
And all of that. But that's it. And I'm really excited about watching it from start to finish at some point. I don't know when that's going to be. There's, it's a huge commitment. But
what was your kind of biggest and favorite memory from being on the show?
I don't know. I mean, the scene where we all come together in the gym, where we all discover that we're Cylons, that was an epic scene that I really enjoyed filming. It was quite an exciting scene to film. I always hold that dear to my heart. I don't know. It's all a wash of Wonderful Days and acting with Mary McDonnell and everyone. All of it was an absolute treat. Everybody was so damn talented on that show. I just felt so lucky to be there, you know?
It's one of those shows that kind of like it kind of almost beats you down with it, like it's like how miserable the whole situation is. But
Yeah.
then when there's a moment of emotion, it hits you even harder because you're not expecting it in that situation. Like I think there's an episode I've seen it's episode 2 or 3, I can't remember, when Starbuck is stuck on the planet and Adama won't leave. And Jamie Bamber's character basically says to him, like, like if it was me there, like, would you still be doing this? And he just turns around to him and he says, like, if it was you, we'd never leave. And you're not expecting it in this show, like, and it's basically a father saying to his son, I would basically destroy humanity to save you, like, and you're just, like, again, it gave you that wonderful emotional impact that you just weren't expecting in a show like that.
Yeah. It was incredible. And it was tough too. I'll say that, it was just personally, I'm not the most confident person in the room usually, and it was intimidating and nerve-wracking. You want to do your best, and you're acting with people who have had Academy Awards, and you're just trying to keep up and not disappoint anyone, and then also the subject matter was, as you're saying, like so heavy and dark, and you don't realize how much of that you are carrying around with you, and it takes its toll. So there's that as well.
As you were saying, like all the like even when you watch the show, all the characters are so big, and the actors clearly are obviously kind of in similar kind of stature then as well. Also, Rekha, that's a complete lie. You're not in any way, shape, or form the quiet person in the room. There's no way that is the case. That's a total lie.
I don't know if I'm always the quietest person, but I it's that imposter syndrome thing we were talking about earlier. You feel like,
but you're always watching. I bet you're always watching just to see what's going on and seeing what is the situation with these different people. Not in a bad way, just more of a case of just kind of just make sure you know what's going on and things like that then as well. And say when it ended and things like that, what were some of the next things you did after that, before the days of Star Trek?
I mean, I was excited to just spread my wings a bit and try some different stuff, and I cut my hair short and had some guest spots, and it was great. It was a good period of time where a lot of people had seen the show and it was well regarded, and so I had the fortune of sometimes auditioning for something, and even if I wouldn't get the part, but just having a director say, "Oh God, you were great in that show," and "Thank you for coming in," and that felt nice, that sort of thing. But honestly, it was kind of dry days in many ways for a long time after that. There were some bits and bobs, but then, yeah.
Did you focus on theatre work at that point then as well, or what did you do?
No, I just kept at it. I came to Hollywood and, did a bunch of auditioning down here, and I went back to Canada, and just, you just keep at it. You just keep at it.
I'm
have
always
fun stuff.
like when I was getting ready for this interview, one of the things every time I was looking up anything to do with Jamaica, it was in character. There was no smile as we're getting here, and I was there going, she looks like someone who'd kicked the living Christ out of me, no hassle whatsoever. But then I see you here smiling, and they're going, she probably still could do that quite easily as well, but you do it with a smile. So you have this lovely, warm, bubbly personality and things like that. How do you kind of blend yourself into a role in that situation, like, say, Commander Landry and things like that? How do you disappear into it? Because again, as I said, you're just such a lovely person, Rick. It's just totally.
You are the juxtaposition to your characters.
I that was one of the things I discovered in that first chunk of time of being noticed during Battlestar. Was sort of the general response was like, I had no idea you had such a lovely smile, because we literally never saw Tory smile. So yeah, I've kind of gotten used to that, frankly. I've forgotten about it even. I've gotten so used to it, I've forgotten about it. But I'll tell you, Commander Landry was, to this day, the toughest, most badass character I've ever played. And I was so nervous that I wouldn't be able to do it, that when my agent called to tell me that I got the part, first of all, I screamed like a little girl with absolute I couldn't believe that I was going to be on Star Trek. I was so happy. And then he's talking, okay, so this, you know, fly to Toronto, blah, 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 blah. And I said, Ryan. He said, what? Oh my God, what if I can't do it? I was like, this character is so hard. And he was like, Rekha, they cast you for it. So I think you can do it. They believe you can do it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given you the part. I was like, right. But I nearly started going into a panic once I realized that I was going to have to, you know, deliver for an extended period of time this total badass.
Hang on a second. I need to ask you how quickly you can do this. How quickly, Rekha, can you change your face from happy, smiley Rekha over to very serious, I will kick your ass, Commander Landry? Can you do it in 5 seconds?
Okay, let's try.
So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. Jesus Christ, Mike. I just want to give more of my wallet right now. Like, I'm that. There's no smile here at all. Like, absolutely no smile. Not even a crack. Like, I'm going to have to ring someone and get out of this situation. Can someone save me? Do it. You can do it. How hard is that not to smile in that situation? Because, like, your face is naturally there for a smile. How hard is that to maintain that?
I mean, you just have to think about the right things. It was less about like not smiling and more just about like, can I be that intimidating and that commanding for that long? Like when I'm like exhausted at the end of the day.
Mike, did you also notice that as Rekha said that, did you also notice the way the eyes narrowed and the eyes went from side to side?
Yep.
Kind of like that.
Oh, what? Like a Cylon?
No, as in like somebody who was a complete badass and was just keeping an eye on everything to see what was going on. That's what you were doing.
Oh.
Had you been a Star Trek fan, Rekha?
Yeah, I watched TOS reruns as a little girl. Like
and you were on Star Trek Online before you were on Discovery.
I did. That was an amazing experience. Did you watch all of that?
Yeah.
You did actually, Mike, didn't you? Yeah, we're a massive Star Trek Online kind of guy and all that kind of thing. So, like, in terms of, again, because there was slightly mysteriousness around Commander Landry and things like that, how much were you told when you got the role?
Not much.
Jesus, they don't tell people anything in this industry at all. Like,
they really don't. I mean, you get fake sides, so you don't even know like what you're really auditioning for. And it's like, you know, it's all so top secret that they're like, if you print the sides, this message will self-destruct. Literally, it says that. Like, you can't even audition. If you hit the print button, you're out. You're out. So I had to figure out, you know, like the first time I auditioned for Star Trek, I had to like handwrite all the lines. All the bogus lines that they gave me. I had to handwrite
with all
them
the techno babbling.
Yeah, and then the second audition, the one for Commander Landry, thankfully I had somebody with a brain around me, and she said, pull it up on your phone, and I'll take a photograph of your phone, and then we'll print up the photograph from my phone.
That's a good idea.
Thank you. It saved me a lot of time. But
wait a second, are we getting into legal trouble with Paramount that Rekha has advised how to get around
How
this?
to print your sides, 101 with Rekha Sharma.
Nothing illegal was said in this podcast. Just in terms of then, say, the first audition, as you said, like what are the lines completely not Star Trek related at all? Or is there any indication this is something to do with science fiction?
Yeah. It's like in the science fiction world, but you know, it's a fake.
That could be anything.
It's a fake.
Yeah.
Yeah. It honestly, the sides felt much more Star Wars to me
Oh.
for Commander Landry, which was in a way helpful because I saw her more like an Imperial officer, that kind of. So, yeah.
And in terms of, say, what was the atmosphere like on the Discovery set? I know you weren't there for the hugest amount of time, but what was it like?
It was amazing. Everyone on that show, all of the creative people are just a joy. Absolutely beautiful people, and I'm so glad I was there for a little while. I was very sad to leave. Very sad. We also didn't know, they didn't tell us that I was going to get killed off so quickly.
They didn't tell you were going to get mauled by a giant tardigrade.
They did not. We were all under the impression that I would be sort of a recurring character, and they did end up bringing me back here and there. But yeah, it was a ride. I'll say that.
And like when you do get a chance to watch back your stuff, we're always curious about this. We always ask it as the Adam Driver question. Do you find it hard watching your own work back?
What does Adam Driver say?
I will tell you after you give your answer now in this situation.
It can be hard. I just kind of put on a different brain. I have an analytical brain on, and I am, of course, very hard on myself, but I can also enjoy it in ways like, seeing what music they put to it, seeing how they shot it. Like, I love seeing how all the aspects come together, especially if they're done well, which, I mean, on Battlestar, it was a constant joy because you saw something that you did, which was all right, and then you just saw it get way better by the time they were done with it because every department brought so much genius to it that it was just always better, which was so exciting. It's disappointing when it's the other way. When you've done some... Are you all right?
Oh yeah, just frog in my throat.
Okay. When you've done some good work and then kind of...
You look at it and go, what the hell did you do to that?
Usually I'm just analyzing and thinking of how I could have made it better. Unfortunately, that's I could have done that. Why did I do that? I should have.
Is there anything out there that you absolutely flat out would refuse to ever watch with yourself in it again?
Probably. I mean, I'm not that militant about anything, so no. I'll I'm a flexible person, so I'd watch whatever. I might not enjoy it, but.
To answer the question, Adam Driver does not watch any of his own work back at all. Even when he goes to film premieres, he will go along and then he'll just get the hell out of there because he doesn't want to watch his own work back at all, which I find completely fascinating because I think he's a fantastic actor. Yeah. So I'm really surprised.
But we've found that, though, that it's very common in actors for that. We found there's some Star Trek actors who predominantly do prosthetics and they find it a lot easier to see their work back because obviously they're not looking at their face. Yeah. Because obviously it's all done up in makeup and everything else. So yeah, I think it's very common for actors to struggle to watch themselves back. Yeah.
And I think for whatever reason, I'm just a bit of a glutton for punishment and
aren't we all?
Well, I want to get better. And so I think to myself that this is part of the job, that I can watch it and somehow improve in the future, which is, probably ridiculous and a waste of my time. But, I don't watch everything.
So something like Star Trek, how much creative input do you get into your character? Is there a lot of freedom, or is it very much, no, this is the character, this is what you're going to play, and that's it?
Generally, I would say there's not a lot of freedom, right. Based on whatever you did in the audition is what they expect you to do. So,
So if it's a bad Irish accent, that stays in the character in that situation, I'm guessing, yes?
Right.
I was waiting for
You've
that.
done a terrible Irish accent. It must remain terrible. I think if you're on a show for a while, then there's room for growth for your character.
Yeah.
Then you have more room to move. But yeah, usually they kind of want you in a certain pocket. It depends on the role. Yeah.
So if you were to say between Tory and Landry, who would be closer to Rekha Sharma in terms of personality in any way, shape, or form?
I thought that's a tough one.
Weren't expecting that question, were you?
Nope.
We only asked the easy questions
Oh,
here.
very easy questions here.
I mean, there are parts of me in both of them, or else I wouldn't have been able to do it. You know, that's part of the joy of acting, is finding different sides to yourself.
Now, obviously, you played Tory for longer than you played Landry, but in terms of, say, a character, who did you prefer? Who did you say, if I could do more time with that character, that's the one I'd pick?
I think Tori, because there was more to explore in terms of what I did explore. However, if I had more time, did you guys ever play the Star Trek Online, the video game?
Mm-hmm.
So you saw the bit with, you played that? That I loved. I loved exploring the backstory of Landry.
Yep.
I loved it.
It's quite funny when they updated Star Trek Online to say, right, you can now play as a Discovery era character. I created an entirely new profile to go back as a Discovery era character. Awesome. And my first ship for months and months and months was the Shenzhou. I had the Shenzhou for a long time. It was very difficult for me to change that ship. Even now, I mean, been playing it for what, 12 years or whatever it is. Even now, one of my go-to ships is still Discovery.
Love that. It was a great ship. I loved being on that set.
It was a great set.
Rick, just in terms of say, obviously, look, you've been in 2 huge science fiction shows with Trek and with Battlestar Galactica and all that. How do you feel is your connection with the fans?
I feel very lucky that I've been in these 2 worlds and that I get to meet some of the same fans year after year at various conventions and new fans. I love the fandom. I think they're so great. I mean, we wouldn't be doing this right now if it wasn't for the fandom. Like, I think it's such a great community of people who, you know, we all like a similar thing. We all have great taste.
That's why I love conventions.
In general, there's a kindness there because there's a similar ethos that we all share, I think. I mean, there's the whole, you know, there's the haters and the, I will never understand how anyone can think that Star Trek is too woke now.
It was always woke.
It's always been woke.
Always woke.
Exactly. It was like we made woke. Like, they were the originators of woke. Like, I mean,
look, let's face it. Having a black female actress as a main character with a Asian actor on the bridge of a starship in the 60s and 70s, if that isn't woke, what is?
Yeah. And, you know, I will say, and I've said this before, but I'll say it to you guys, you know, the Saritha Chaudhary movie experience was like the first thing of seeing a South Asian. But the fact that I, as a little girl, like 8 years old, was watching TOS and seeing a woman of color and seeing an Asian
You
man.
got to meet Nichelle Nichols, didn't you?
I sure did. And that was, I'll never forget that the first time and several times afterwards. Yeah. It was like a full circle moment. And she was so gracious and so supportive and lovely. But yeah, I think, those were the first sort of seeds of like representation that I saw as a little girl.
And like Rick, when you go to the conventions and things like that, and you see people like lining up to meet you, to get your autograph, to get your photo, do you ever tire of that?
No. I mean, what's to tire of? It's just like, it's so nice. I mean, listen, I do get tired. It's a lot of energy. And I get very tired at the end of the day. Especially if people are quite nervous, it's a lot of energy to manage or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's so sweet. And I feel very lucky.
It's quite funny. I remember going to Star Trek Las Vegas in 24, and it was Rachel and Cheryl's first Star Trek convention. And she turned up, and I swear she must have been necking Red Bull every 20 minutes because the sheer amount of energy she had for every fan, and she wanted to stand and talk for 15, 20 minutes to every fan, every photo. And by the end of the weekend, I bumped into her and she goes, "Mike, I am so tired." I went, "That's because you've been doing that for 3 days straight. I can imagine why you're so tired."
It's a lot. But yeah, you do. You want to, not everybody's like that. And some people, granted, Patrick Stewart, like, he's too old for this shit. And he has a line out the building. He doesn't have time to talk to everybody. But I generally do have time to talk to everybody, even if it's just a few minutes. And I try to, communicate with the rest of the line. Say, "You guys good? Do you mind waiting?" And everybody's usually fine with it. So it's a lot to juggle. But
when's the next convention you're going to?
I don't know. And I was just thinking, I haven't been over to the UK for a convention in years.
They're not that great.
No?
But if you do come over to the UK, I will make sure I'm there.
Me too.
Okay,
I'll
great.
get a flight. I'll come over as well.
Get me invited to something, guys. I want to come. I haven't been over there in ages, and I would love to come and reconnect with all of that.
We've a few questions left for you, Rick, in this situation. I can guess the answer to this one already. Would you return to Star Trek if you got a chance?
In a heartbeat. 100%.
Is there any specific thing you'd like to return as in, would you like to be a human character? Would you like to be an admiral? Would you like to be an alien? What would interest you the most?
I haven't even thought about that. I'd love to work on the bridge. I'd love to, be a hero, be part of the team of heroes, doing great things. It'd be fun to be some kind of an alien. Yeah. Love to be a Vulcan, Romulan, whatever.
The prosthetics wouldn't bother you at all, no?
I'm like, I said those ones because it's just a little.
It's ears and a bit of hair and a bit of. You want to do a Doug Jones and go full Kelpian? No?
I don't feel ready to do a Doug Jones. Listen, I wouldn't say no to it, but given the choice.
You would probably want Doug there with you, though, wouldn't you? Let's face it.
I love Dougie so much.
Oh, Dougie's great. He's just such a magnificent individual. Like, he really is. Like,
I love that man. I met him in Vegas a few years ago, and we had the most hilarious time.
He's the best.
Mike, we've one question left for Rekha. I will hand it over to you.
So it's really, really easy. You should take no time to answer. So, Rekha Sharma, what does Star Trek mean to you?
It means hope. I'm going to start crying.
You can cry all you want.
Yeah, it means dreaming of a better world. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And it means fun and, inclusion and expansion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree, 100%. That's always my answer as well. Is Star Trek is hope. Yeah. It's a hope that we are bigger than the sum of our parts.
Yeah, and we are.
We are. We're an incredible species when we put our mind to it.
Yeah.
That's the problem. We have to put our minds to it.
Putting our minds to some other shit right now. I tell you.
Yes. Well, we'll glaze over that. Rekha, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been awesome. We've really enjoyed this. For everyone listening and watching at home, remember you can catch up with more of us here at the Clonestar Podcast at our website, clonestarpodcast.com, at our Patreon, at our socials. If you're watching this or listening to this on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button as well as that bell icon so you get notified when we next upload. That's it from us, but remember, be brave, be bold, and boldly go.